Happy New Year and welcome to 2021. This is our very first Silver and Gold event this year. I'm so glad you could join us. While I can't see each of you, I bet that your home is warm and cozy, and some of you may still have a few holiday decorations up. That's okay. They always bring me joy, so I leave a few out till winter's over. Thank you for being here. Our gatherings look a little bit different, but in our hearts and minds, we are still connected and blessed to have each other. My name is Jane Graves, and I am your Silver and Gold Coordinator. The Silver and Gold Senior Club of Northwest Missouri is a Meyerhofer community outreach program. We work to engage, educate, and entertain senior citizens in this area. We generally meet as a group each month and enjoy each other's company, live presentations, and live entertainment in person. But right now, we're taking it easy. We're on the back burner and we're doing what we can to keep you all engaged. Until we can meet as a group, mark your calendars for the third Wednesday of each month and follow the Silver and Gold Senior Club of Northwest Missouri Facebook Live page. And we'll do this once a month just to keep you engaged. We've got other events planned as well, so stay tuned. Last year was challenging for all of us, but we are here and I do believe there's a light at the end of the tunnel. As seniors, you should be next in line to get your COVID vaccine. I visited with the health department this morning. They confirmed with me that they do have new information about how the vaccine will be distributed. Those details will be shared with the media on Friday. So watch your paper, listen to the news, and we'll do our best from this end to keep you engaged and to keep you informed on when you can sign up or how the vaccine might work for you. I look forward to meeting with my good friends and enjoying good food, fun, and fellowship in the near future. I cannot promise you this will happen soon, but I can promise you that until it does, the Silver and Gold partners will be working with me to keep you engaged and in a silver and gold frame of mind. Because it's winter, I decided to find a few jokes for the season. Your favorite part. What do you call a cold ghost? Casper. The room is laughing. What do you call a snowman in the desert? A puddle. Even better, right? What do you call a penguin in the desert? Lost. You can decide which one topped them all. They were all pretty good though, weren't they? I'm so glad you're here. You have the best seats in the house. So sit back and enjoy. A group that deserves a big thank you for all that they do throughout the year are Silver and Gold partner sponsors. These are the businesses that have provided our drive-through luncheons. They have not only paid for the lunches, but they help to serve you and deliver to your homes when you can't get out. Those businesses are Fruidenthal Home-Based Healthcare, The Hearing Connection, Hy-Vee of St. Joseph, John Joe Insurance, Living Community of St. Joseph, Meyerhofer Funeral Home and Crematory, Nullestein Vein Institute, Performance Plus Rehabilitation Center, and Wiles Eye Center. They truly care about Silver and Gold members and should be the ones that you reach out to when you need something. We're so lucky to have them as partners of this great club. Our presenting partner today is Performance Plus Rehabilitation Center. We're fortunate to have Dr. Aaron Jones with us this morning. Dr. Jones has been with Performance Plus Rehabilitation Center as the Physical Therapy Director since 2008. He graduated from Southwest Missouri State University in 2005 with a bachelor's degree in organismal biology. And later he earned his doctorate of physical therapy in 2008 from Missouri State University. Dr. Jones has extensive training in manual therapy, orthopedic diagnosis and treatment, sports rehabilitation, geriatrics, and specializes in shoulder conditions. He works diligently to provide the best evidence-based care and coordinate with all of his staff with the most modern treatment approaches. As well as spending time outdoors, he has a family and coaches his 3 children, spending time with his wife. As a former athlete, Dr. Jones has an intimate understanding of the psychological and physical toll an injury can have on the body. His goal is to diagnose, treat, and return each patient to their peak performance. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Aaron Jones. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Good afternoon. As I said, I'm Aaron Jones. I work with Performance Plus. I'm a physical therapist by trade, and I'm live an active lifestyle. And one of the things that we do at Performance Plus is we do see a lot of people that are pretty much 50 and older is a large proportion of our population. One of the things that we're finding is that the issue and the question is, how do we return back to normal, right? And we've talked about this with the vaccine and all the things that are out there as far as the public health measures that are being taken, but there's also things that individually we're all looking at, okay, how do I get back to normal? How do I get back to a silver and gold event? How do I get back to church? How do I get back to going to the store normally? And those are all legitimate questions that all of us have, not just people that are young or old or in between, doesn't matter. Everyone has something that has changed. We all know someone that's had COVID. We've all probably lost someone that's had COVID. We've had people that have had it ourselves, or frankly, we're just staying at home, avoiding everything. And that's the reality of what we're looking at right now, is that those effects that we've taken because of this infection are having some deleterious effects on our overall health, well-being, mental and physical health overall. As we all know, you can go to the news and every single day look at all the negative things that are happening, the deaths and the infection rates and all those things, and that'll scare the living heck out of you. And it frankly probably should give us some precaution and make us think differently how we function. But there are some people that are starting to get back out again, and we see patients every day that have had this. As you all know, there's varied effects from a COVID infection, and COVID can affect many, many people different ways. Some people have absolutely no symptoms and have no issues whatsoever in the short term. We're new in this disease process, so we don't necessarily know what the long-term effects for everyone's going to be. So those people may develop symptoms later. They may never develop symptoms. There are people that have mild symptoms, cough, fatigue, fever, loss of sense of smell, those things. And again, on the news, you want to watch anything like that, you're going to find lots and lots of people that have that type of condition. And then there's people that have the more moderate or severe type issues with shortness of breath, exhaustion, pneumonia. There are definitely some long-term effects there that are associated with that. And this is what we're really talking about today, is those type of people that have those negative effects and how they deal with them on a day-to-day basis. At the end of this, one of my assistants, Steen, is going to go through and show you some exercises, some things that you can do to combat some of these effects that we're talking about. In reality is that everyone has an effect related to a disease state. Whether you have a cold, flu, you get a knee replacement, there's some change in the body and how we function based off of that change. And that change can cause all kinds of effects, well, not only internally in our body, but also externally in how we function with walking, with standing and balance. And those actions affect us on a day-to-day basis with our ability to be independent. With a lot of patients that have either a cardiac condition or that are diabetics, will have lots of other issues because there's actually an inflammatory response that's created when we have an infection. This inflammatory response affects our circulatory system, how we function, and how our heart and lungs function, and that will affect your overall ability to perform regular daily activities. There's a new syndrome that's coming out. There's always syndromes, right? And syndromes are basically a culmination of symptoms that a patient has after a disease state. The new syndrome they're talking about is either called long COVID or post-COVID syndrome. And the most common reports of this is that after an infection, this can be weeks, months, days afterwards, you're going to have additional effects. And pull this off of CDC's website. The most common reported symptoms were fatigue, which is 55% of people, shortness of breath, which is 42%, memory loss, which is 34%, sleep disorders is 31%, and difficulty with concentration, which is 28%. That sounds like a lot of our patients. All right? Oftentimes we have this mental fog and fatigue and just shortness of breath that occurs after that disease disorder. And it can present in multiple ways. I've had numerous patients that have had infection and hospitalization that have been released and started physical therapy with us. And in a short period of time, they went from being able to be completely independent and doing whatever they want to literally being homebound and only able to walk from the bed to their bathroom with a walker. and assistance. All right, this is in a short period of time, in a couple weeks. One patient example, I have a patient that had COVID, was hospitalized for a couple of weeks, got released, came back for a couple more weeks, and by the end of it, her functional ability and her ability to have a normal day-to-day activity is reduced upwards of 75%. The positive thing about that is that same patient, we've probably made 50% improvement with her in the last 3 weeks. So there is hope, all right? But these effects do affect every single one of us. I've had other patients that come in and were hospitalized for a couple weeks, and you couldn't tell anything was wrong with them, but they did notice changes to their function and their ability to live. And these things have, a lot of negative connotations, and that's not what I want to talk about today. Is yes, there's all these things that are out there, but the truth of it and the reality is that we have ways that we can combat this. There are ways that we can get back to more normalcy. With normalcy, I talk about really with my patients independence. So functioning, getting up and down out of a chair, in and out of bed, being able to go to the grocery store, being able to lift a laundry basket up off the floor. That's function. Right? You shouldn't have to think about that being a negative thing. And if you have issues with that, you need to do something about it. Otherwise, that's going to continue to get worse. So the reality is that we found a lot of new research, which is, I guess, the positive out of this whole thing is that we've advanced science and taken science and put it into medical research together and really went kind of light speed with it. One of the things that we're finding is that cardiovascular exercise produces an enzyme called EXOD, E-C-S-O-D, and it's an antioxidant. Right? This antioxidant, what it does is basically takes the oxygen when it's produced in exercise actually is damaging to muscles. It basically burns them, for lack of a better term. And when we exercise, this enzyme is produced and it protects the muscles. It protects the blood vessels and actually coats them and lines them so that there's not as much damage done to that. It's both restorative and protective. So what does that mean for us? All right? It means that cardiovascular exercise, and when I say that, I mean walking for a period of time, riding a bicycle, swimming, those type of things are not only going to be something that we have to do to get back to normal, but we should do to protect ourselves from COVID as well. There are other effects that affect, honestly, the rest of us. Even if you've not had COVID, I can't imagine there's not a single person that I'm talking to today that won't say, yeah, my life has not changed whatsoever. All right? I don't know how many people I've had come in that have said, well, I honestly haven't left my house much since March. That's not good. That's not good for any of us, and I know a lot of you are just, chomping on the bit to get back, and frankly, the rest of us are too. But we all have a degree of a lazy in us, all right? When we get to a point where we stop doing things, we like that, all right? We stop going places, and I like my chair. It's really comfortable. I'm going to sit there the whole time, all right? So this is something that it's not just, me or somebody else. It's everybody. That's just our body. Our body likes homeostasis. It likes staying exactly the same. So what that leads to, unfortunately, though, is a sedentary lifestyle leads to a number of things. You're going to start to have atrophy, which is muscle loss. You're going to start having weight gain. It's going to increase the risk and disease factors with obesity, the shortness of breath, the energy that you have. And another one that's really probably for this particular group more important is loss of balance. All right? So balance is one of those things that we have in our body that's really a really complicated system. Balance utilizes the coordination of our inner ear, our eyes, and our proprioceptive organs, which are on our ankles and feet and basically tell us our position sense. If any three of those systems aren't working, we're going to have loss of balance. All right? And that's one thing that when you're not up and about as much, you start to lose that balance and coordination in your feet, ankles, knees, and hips. So that's one of those that can lead to other problems, falls. The number one cause of death, besides heart disease and cancer in the elderly, is falls. All right? We all have the friend that fell and broke their hip, and then they're gone. All right? And that's something that we don't want to do. So there's one of those that are like, all right, there's a positive thing. Being active is you can prevent yourself from having falls, but you have to know what you need to do safely. And again, those are things we're going to cover a little bit later. The other factor that comes into it is depression. And depression is very, very common among, especially our public. It is shown to have increased substantially since March. And again, that's losing that social outlet in those activities that you do normally. The great part about that is the number one best antidepressant on the market, and this has been proven in studies time and time again, is exercise. Right? So by exercising, you produce endorphins and you get adrenaline going and you get yourself moving. And that's one of the great things is that, again, things that you can do personally, not pop a pill, which is not great on our bodies long term, is going to actually help you in a long-term basis. With all these things we're talking about, we'd start to lose our independence. And that's probably the greatest fear of all of us, is being stuck and unable to do things for ourselves and rely on others. That loss of independence is a real factor. But again, with movement and exercise, you can see a lot of positive changes. We, at Performance Plus, we have a pretty consistent group of patients that we see. All right, we'll see patients throughout the year for post-surgical issues, for knee pain, back pain, you name it. But in the beginning about February to March, we have our overwinterers, I like to call them. Right? So these are people that sat at home and didn't do much. Right? It was snowy out, it was icy out, I couldn't get out, we couldn't do my normal activity. And they come in and they've been shoveling snow or whatever, they had a fall. All right? We've had an extended overwinter. All right? So now those of us that have been stuck at home have lost that function and that ability for even greater durations than what we were before. Really, again, ultimate key to all this is that here's our problem and here's our solution. All right. So the solution is exercise. All right? There are a ton of different things that you can do to exercise, and I'm not talking about you have to go to the gym and be pumping iron and lifting weights or running on a treadmill. No, exercise is something as simple as walking around your living room. All right. There's some specific things you need to do to better exercise or proper exercise, but exercise is the ultimate solution to it. One of the things that we have with exercise, which is really nice, because we all like to be that, again, a little lazy at times, is that after you exercise, your body is still working to bring down all the temperature rises and the heart rate and things that you've done during that exercise. So we get what's called an afterburn or Epoch. And this afterburn is your metabolism is running for a while, after a while, up 2 to 4 hours for most of us after we exercise, especially with resisted exercise. So we're burning calories, which means all the snack foods and all those things that we've done, we put on a little bit extra weight from the winter, that's burning that off after you've exercised. You don't have to be continually in motion to burn calories, which is excellent. As far as exercises go, we're going to show you some things today that honestly are very simple, very accessible. If you have a chair and you have your body, you can do these exercises. It's very basic. Most people don't necessarily want to leave their home to exercise. Some should, because they need to challenge themselves beyond that level. But doing something at home is better than nothing somewhere else. That's ultimately what it comes down to. It's always better, and this is from a personal experience, to have a partner. All right, someone that's going to make you accountable. So one of the things you can do is when you exercise is try to find somebody that's an accountability partner to you. And that could be somebody that's as simple as calling up a friend and say, hey, I'm going to go walk. All right, do you want to go with me? Or I'm going to walk in my house. Why don't you do it? We'll compare notes. All right, make it a little bit of a competition. That's always fun. I like to beat people. That's always a challenge for most people to, push themselves a little bit further. This could be a spouse, a neighbor, a friend. Heck, you can go online. There's communities you can get involved with. It does need to be structured. All right, it can't just be, I'm going to exercise when I think about it. No, because what I've found in the over a decade worth of doing PT is that people don't plan an exercise session. They don't do an exercise session. So you need to say at 8 o'clock every morning, I'm going to get up and I'm going to go walk, or I'm going to go lift weights, or I'm going to work on my balance. So that structure gives you not only consistency with it, but also allows you a little more flexibility in your schedule because you know when you're going to do it and you can plan things around that. With everyone else, we kind of look at, I've never exercised before, I don't know what I'm doing. It's really honestly very simple if you look at these few parameters. All right, so cardiovascular exercise, meaning walking, riding a bike, something where you're getting your heart rate up and you're breathing slightly heavy, you need to do for a consecutive period of time of 30 minutes. All right, that can be broken up into 3 10-minute chunks, 2 15-minute chunks, whatever it is, but it needs to be cumulative of 30 minutes. All right, that needs to happen 5 days a week. 5 days a week is the minimum amount that we get the cardiovascular effects, meaning our heart muscle gets stronger, our lungs work more efficiently, and our circulation works better. And that's where we get that extra enzyme produced too in that duration of time. For resistance exercise, we're talking about weight training or using bands, something against your body weight to put resistance through it. That needs to happen at least 3 times a week. All right? The reason 3 times a week is the body really only adapts to exercise at that frequency to make the muscles stronger. If you're only going twice a week, you're basically maintaining yourself. And that's the challenge for a lot of people is I think they do too much intensity with not enough frequency, right? So I'd rather someone go and only exercise 15 minutes 3 days a week than 50 minutes twice a week. And the reason for it is that you're going to be so darn sore going 50 minutes twice a week and never make gains, but you'll make bigger gains with those three times a week. With the resistance exercise I was talking about earlier, there's also positive effects with that. Right? Another great benefit is that with resistance exercise, we will increase our bone density. So those that are osteoporotic or have osteopenia, that's something that we can help ourselves with, not only having good calcium in our diet, but we need that calcium to go into our bones so that bone structure increases. There was a study done about 5 years ago that looked at females over the age of 50, and they looked at the power generating capacity of their lower extremities, their legs. So what they looked at is they're looking at cognitive decline. So your ability to think and reason based off of how much strength you have in your legs. And obviously, if you have more strength in your legs, you're either just genetically blessed or more likely you're exercising in those legs. But they found a 4-fold decrease in cognitive decline, meaning you had 4 times less likely to have lost your cognitive functioning if you have stronger, more powerful legs. It's also going to improve your strength and your stability. Hobbies, all right? This is another option for exercise, all right? If your hobby before was shopping, that would be expensive. That'd be, my wife has the same hobby, which is fine. But you know what? You're walking during that time frame. Sorry, Brandy. But that's actually not a bad hobby. I mean, you go to a Sam's Club. Truthfully, I would not doubt most of us walk a mile in Sam's Club. And it's at the pace that you're going. All right. So we need to have those kind of things because that's good to be mentally engaged too. I mean, to be physically engaged and mentally engaged is a really important thing. The hobbies I do caution against for a lot of people is really not because I don't think you should do them, like knitting or sewing. The problem is if you're sitting there knitting and sewing for 4 straight hours, that's not good. That's not good for anybody. Not only is that going to cause problems with your back and your neck and everything else, but also you're starting to decrease the circulation in your legs and all the rest of your body. So that's also something that just to use a little bit of precaution with it. A rule of thumb I always say with all of my patients is that once an hour you need to be up walking around for 10 minutes of that hour. All right? That's a simple kind of rule you can do. And if you're watching TV, there's plenty of commercials out there, and that's the time to get up and move. Obviously everything in moderation is really, really important. Social activities, right? We've all had to learn to socialize differently, right? Churches have changed. This community group has changed. You don't go out and hang out with friends, and you didn't go into sporting events. I mean, those kind of things that, are part of our society a year ago are difficult to do, and they will come back, but I wonder what the long-term effect is that going to have on those things. But don't feel like you're alone, all right? Reach out, reach out to your friends, reach out to your neighbors. And again, that's where some of this exercise can come in, is that we can have an outreach to our community to say, call on our next door neighbor who we haven't seen much and say, hey, you want to go take a walk with me? You may be surprised what your response is. We've got friends and family that we all need to take care of. We also need to take care of ourselves too during this time. So that's where we need to look out and branch out a little bit, get outside of our bubble. Obviously we need to utilize mask and hand hygiene and all those kind of things, but don't let that be a deterrent to you. Right? We do have hope, right? We have this vaccine coming out, which I do encourage those of you that are medically able to do it to go ahead and do. We in our practice have done it, and I think it's going to be a great thing, and realistically the only way we're getting back to normal. And the truth of it is we need to keep moving. All right, that's really the take-home message of today, is we're going to keep on moving. Ryan's going to show you here in just a second. The worst thing that we can do is to stop. All right, A rolling stone gathers no moss. Don't be the moss. All right? All right, that's all I have for today.
Awesome. Wow, Aaron, thank you so much. What great information. And for those of you not tuned in, we will be sharing this, and I encourage everyone to listen to the whole thing. I know I dealt with a little COVID over the holidays, and I'm so ready to do everything that Dr. Jones just presented. I think he had some great information. Okay, now, what do you call a snowman with a six-pack? An abdominal snowman. On that note, let's try some exercises. As Dr. Jones said, Ryan Steen is here. Ryan graduated from Missouri Western State University in 2016 with an AAS as a PTA, as well as a BS in Health and Exercise Science. He has been licensed to practice as a PTA since 2016 and started in-home health care before transitioning to Performance Plus in early 2017. Ryan, I'm going to let you lead this group through some exercises. Thanks for being here.
I'm a physical therapist assistant at Performance Plus Rehabilitation Center here in St. Joseph, and I'm fortunate enough to take about 10 minutes with you guys today and go over some simple, safe, and effective exercises for all of you to do at home that will hopefully continue to propel you to a healthy and active 2021. Now, the great thing about all these exercises that I'm going to show you, you don't need much equipment at all right? As long as you have your body, you're halfway there, and the other thing that you need is just a chair that you would find at your kitchen table or something similar, all right? We want something rigid that sits a little higher. If you're on your couch or in your lazy boy, go ahead and take a second, stand up, and go grab a chair from your kitchen table, okay? So, really with these exercises, they're just scratching the surface, but they're ultimately going to help address strength deficits or atrophy like Dr. Jones was talking about, endurance deficits, as well as hit the balance aspects, and we'll get to those a little later on as we go, all right? So we're going to start up top, and we're going to gradually work our way down, and I'll try to give you a little explanation for each exercise as to what it's doing and what muscles it's working, all right? So first things first, hopefully you have your chair. I want you to kind of scoot out to the edge of it for me, all right? I want your feet flat on the ground, sitting with good upright posture, okay? The very first exercise that we're going to do, I want your elbows straight, all right? Your thumbs in an up position. And all we're going to do 10 repetitions on all of these exercises. You're just going to come straight up for me and then slowly back down, okay? That's going to be the key here with this exercise. Watch those elbows. Make sure they don't start to bend. You may start to feel a little bit of a burn over the front of your shoulder, and that's exactly where we want it. We're halfway there with 5. Keep rolling with me here. And there's 6. We're working the deltoid mass here, which is really the primary mover at the shoulder, and it has 3 different divisions, and we're working the front of it right now. And when we're reaching overhead, trying to lift, carry, it's a really big mover of the shoulder, okay? So this next one here, take a little second as you need. It's very similar, and we're also working that deltoid mass like I said, but we're working the middle portion of it now, all right? So similar concepts. I want the elbows straight, thumbs in an up position, okay? And we're going to come straight out to the side now, coming up as high as you can, slowly right back down. Shooting for the same 10 mark while we're doing these exercises, almost kind of like you have wings here, flying up and down. Good, there's 4. We're going to go into about halfway here. Once again, a burn is a good thing with this, all right? That's not a sign to stop, it's a sign to keep working it. It means the muscles are doing their job. There's 8. We'll have 2 more here, 9, and 1 more time, 10, okay? Good. So the next ones that we're going to perform, we're working down the arm a little bit, okay? We're actually going to hit our elbow. The interesting thing about our elbow, we always hear about the biceps being the primary mover, the ones that bend us up, and hear about bicep curls, which is exactly right, but we also have 2 other muscles that bend the elbow, and we can isolate those muscles just by changing our hand positioning, okay? So we're going to hit all 3 of those today to try to make sure we holistically cover the elbow, all right? So same position, all right, sitting with good upright posture while we're doing this. That's going to be really important with this one. Pull those shoulder blades back. Elbows tucked into the side, and you're going to start with your elbows straight, okay? I want your palms facing up towards the ceiling, and you can make a fist if you'd like, but we're just going to bend the elbow, okay? So a normal biceps curl is what we're doing here. Once again, You may start to feel a little burn. We want to keep these motions smooth, slow, and controlled, okay? One of the biggest things that I see in clinic is people want to go fast and they want to use momentum, which is the exact opposite thing that we want to do, okay? Control is key when we're talking about strengthening any muscle in the body, all right? Good. So once again, take a second if you need. We're going to keep working on these different elbow muscles, all right? So simple transition. You're now going to turn your hand so your thumbs are facing up towards the ceiling, okay, like you're giving a thumbs up position. That little turn of the wrist actually isolates a different muscle that bends the elbow, okay? It has a fancy name, it's called brachioradialis. So we're gonna start in that same position, shoulder blades pulled back, elbows tucked in, thumbs up, and we're just bending the elbow, all right? Exact same motion here, and we're gonna shoot for that 10 mark once again. Hopefully you're feeling like you're actually doing something here. If not, if you want to add a little bit of free weight with any of these, you can, but be safe while you're doing it. You don't want to hurt yourself or overdo it. And as long as you're taking your time with these exercises, you should start to feel a little bit of a burn while you're doing them. Good, we'll go ahead and do one more there as well. Excellent. Hopefully I'm not moving too fast for you guys. You'll be able to rewatch the video if you want to later, and we're going to keep rolling here. The next one that we're going to do, once again, an exercise for the elbow. This one may be a little more difficult for you than the first two, and that's totally normal, all right? So don't feel like you're alone with that. You're actually gonna turn your hands over so your palms are facing down towards the ground, okay? Once again, good upright posture, elbows tucked into the side, and you can make a fist if you like, and you're just gonna once again bend the elbow, okay? So we're gonna shoot for that 10 mark again. I probably sound like a broken record here talking about posture and 10 reps. Well, that's all right, that's my job. Stay on top of you. Halfway there, there's 6, 7, 8, 9, one more time, 10. Good, all right. Hopefully you guys are sticking with me. You're doing a good job so far. So we're gonna gradually kind of transition down our body here, all right? The next two exercises that I have for you are gonna address muscles on the legs, mainly the upper portions in the front. But on the flip side with this, we're going to hit our posture a little bit more, all right? When we're talking like we've been sitting all day long, especially if we're on the couch and the chair, laying in bed, it's not uncommon to have a little bit of low back pain associated with that, okay? The core, we have numerous core muscles that are big stabilizers of the spine, and we can easily engage them with these next two exercises, all right? So once again, make sure you're still seated on the edge of your chair, sitting with good upright posture, okay? You're going to put your hands in front of your chest here for me, and while we're doing this, we're going to move our legs back and forth just into a tiny march. The key here, though, I don't want to see you sway a lot side to side, okay? That's where that core comes into play, all right? We want to make sure we're stabilizing the spine and our trunk while we're marching our legs back and forth, okay? So we'll go ahead and keep going here. There's 4 and 5, 6, 7, 8, 2 more, and we'll call that 10 there. Good. You may notice a little pull over the front of your hip as well. That's totally normal, but that's where those muscles lie that are actually lifting that hip up into that march position. So the next one, we're going to hit the big top thigh muscles, all right? There's 4 of them. It's the quadriceps group is what they're referred to as a whole, but we want to focus on the posture again as well. So sitting nice and tall and upright in the chair, hands in front of your chest again, and we want to minimize how much we're swaying. So while we're sitting here, you're going to kick straight out now. So you're straightening your knee with this one, okay? You may feel fairly tight on the back side of your thigh. That's okay. Just get as straight as you can. Going halfway. Good. We'll do a few more here on each leg. Make sure you're alternating back and forth while you're doing this. Good. We'll do one more on each side here. Good. All right. Just a friendly reminder when you're doing those, if you feel like you're leaning back in your chair or you're leaning a lot or one side to the other, you need to try to take a step back, sit with good upright posture. The quality of the motion of these exercises is way more important than the quantity that you're doing, okay? So next here, we're actually going to stand up out of our chair, all right? Make sure your chair is away from the wall or anything like that. So good news about our chair is we can rely on it a little bit for our balance and things like that. Like Dr. Jones said earlier, balance is going to be a culmination of factors in our body, all right? Muscular strength is a big player in those proprioceptive organs that he was talking about. And when we get into the standing exercises, our muscles are definitely going to be challenged more, all right? So for this first exercise, we're actually working both of our hips. For the sake of time, I'm only going to demonstrate the movement on one leg, but at home, pause the video after I show you this one and make sure you do it on the other side, okay? So, standing on the right leg here for me, the left leg is going to be my mover first. You can do either leg that you like though, okay? Once again, that pesky word posture. Stand with upright posture for me, okay? And you're just going to kick forward, okay? We're going to do this 10 times as well. Once again, we're working the muscles on the front of the hip while we're doing this. You may start to feel a little bit of a burn on the opposite thigh, on the outside of it, and that's normal as well, okay? That's because those gluteal muscles on the outside of the stance leg are actually working to keep that pelvis level while the other leg isn't supporting the body, okay? Good. All right, take a second, all right? Hopefully you kind of feel like you're getting that heart rate elevated a little bit by now. This next exercise that we're going to go into, very similar, we're just changing the position that we're moving our leg, okay? Going back to the balance aspect, if you feel like this is too easy with your hand all the way on your chair, ease out a little bit, just go to a fingertip, okay? That'll make it harder, put more dependency on your legs while you're doing the exercise and less on the arms. So, feet still facing forward. The leg that you just moved with the first exercise, you're going to move again, and you're going to take it straight out to the side. You may have a little bit of trunk lean here. That's normal, all right? Just do your best to stay as upright as possible. You can notice I'm leaning a little bit too, and that's just making a way for our hip to actually move, all right? Here's 7, 8, 9, and one more time, makes 10. Perfect. Okay, moving right along. One more motion of this. We're going to go backwards with the leg, all right? One of the most common things that I see with people here is they want to bend the knee like this, okay? And that's not what I'm after. We want the knee fairly straight while we're doing this, all right? So once again, I'm just turned to the side here so you can see me. You can stay in that exact same position that you originally started in. So, good upright posture. You're really going to want to lean forward when you come back into this position. Try to avoid that. Stay nice and tall. And all we're doing is taking that leg straight back for me. You should feel like your buttocks is getting tight while you're doing this exercise. That's how you know you're doing it right. Halfway there. 7, 8, 9, one more time, 10. Good. Okay, we're in the home stretch here. Hopefully I'm doing okay on time and I'm not taking too much of it. So, talked about power in the legs in Dr. Jones' conversation with you guys earlier. One of the most effective to develop a lot of the major movers in the leg is a squat, okay? Now, disclaimer with this, I hope you're doing all these exercises safely, all right? But if you feel like you may fall while you're doing this, maybe get away from your chair and go to a counter or a kitchen sink, something that isn't gonna move if you're relying on your arms while you're holding on to it, okay? So I'm gonna turn my chair sideways here. Hopefully I'm still in the frame of the shot. So the key with this squat, I want your feet shoulder width apart, all right? That's kind of the neutral positioning. So I'm going to turn to the side here so you can see what my body's doing. A lot of times when we like to squat, people just want to go straight down, all right? That puts a ton of pressure on the front part of our knee, and actually, we're kind of lacking on the muscle development part when we put all that pressure forward, all right? So first things first, what I like to tell people to do, stick your butt back, okay? It's called hip hinge, and it's really gonna set us up to make sure we're using the right muscles at the right time with the squat, okay? You can keep your hands on front of the chair if you need to. So bottom back, okay? And you're gonna drop your bottom straight down like you're gonna sit in a chair, and then you're standing all the way up nice and tall for me, okay? Make sure you're not stopped in this little hunched over position. You wanna push those hips forward, okay? Squeeze that bottom together. Once again, we're gonna go through this 10 times. There's 2. If you feel comfortable doing this and you're doing it in the correct manner, you should feel like you're driving up through your heels, okay? You shouldn't feel too much weight through the front of your foot, but I still want your full foot making contact on the ground, all right? That's important. There's 7. Hopefully you feel a little burn all the way through your leg, the front of your thigh, the back of your thigh, into your bottom. And one more time, makes 10. Excellent, okay. You can come back to your chair for this next one. And with this one, this will be the last exercise that I do with you guys today. We've worked our way all the way down to the lower half of our body. And when we're talking about balance, the foot and the ankle are kind of our first line of defense when we talk balance strategies in the body. So if we feel unsteady or we start to fall, our foot and our ankle and the muscles in that area work really hard to stabilize us to keep us upright. This next exercise is going to hit the really big calf muscle that sits right below our knee on the back side, okay? So, once again, if we want to hit the balance pretty heavy while we're doing this, just put a fingertip on your chair, or if you feel comfortable, No hands at all. Once again, be safe with your functional level, okay? So feet shoulder width apart. All you're gonna do here, I don't know if you guys can see my feet or not. I'll kind of step out a little more. You're just gonna lift your heels up off the ground, okay? So we're gonna do this 10 times as well. Good. So while you're doing this, you shouldn't feel like you're rocking a whole lot, okay? You don't want to use the momentum while you're doing this. You should feel like your heels are clearing the ground. Should be halfway going into 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. All right, guys. Hopefully that was about 10 minutes of exercise with you. We hit a lot of different major muscle groups and joints in the body to kind of holistically get you started on some basic exercises to work on at home. If you feel like you're having any abnormal pain with any of these at any joint in the body, go ahead and stop and pass over that one, okay? And if you feel like this has become a chronic issue for you, that's when it's time to see a physical therapy professional such as Dr. Jones as myself, okay? Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for sharing some of your time with me, and I hope to see you guys again soon.
Bobby's working up a little sweat while he's doing this with you, but I gotta say, those were all great exercises and things that our group can definitely do at home. Maybe not all at once, but even if they spread them out throughout the day, I think they would have such success with doing those. Get your rest, Ryan. I understand gonna be a baby coming in the next day or so you're gonna need to build that strength up, and congratulations, best wishes, and thanks for being here to Performance Plus. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. What do you call a snowman that tells tall tales? Bobby Hay or a snowflake. On that note, here he is, my favorite snowflake. It's time to bring Bobby Hay in. He'll help me share some announcements, and then he'll take the mic, and he's going to entertain and maybe even educate you a little bit. Bobby, come here, snowflake.
Well, thank you, Jane. Hello, everybody. How's everybody been? I did work up a little sweat there with Ryan. I tell you what, that's really good. And I was telling Jane, I'm going to start doing that because when I'm here before too long, I'll be as old as Jane.
Yeah.
And then, oh, come on.
I know.
Jane, you tell the best jokes. Hey, check out this one. What do you sing at a snowman's birthday party? Furry's a jolly good fellow, Furry's a jolly good... See, I apologize, folks. This is Jane's joke.
That's a good one, too.
All right, that was awesome. Hey, who had a birthday out there in January? You know who you are. Stand up and everybody sing for your birthday. We are working on events for 2021, but between the weather this time of year and the COVID, these events are nothing we can plan too far in advance. If we can have your contact information, we will definitely keep you in the know. If we don't have your contact information because this is your first chance to join Silver and Gold, please become a member. Go to the resources page at www.meyerhofer.com and sign up or call Jane at 816-271-0338. That's 816, she's cold.
Okay. And speaking of keeping you guys engaged, we are going to start some fun things in February. We're holding another scavenger hunt. The actual Love in the Air Silver and Gold scavenger hunt will begin February the 1st. It'll work a lot like when we did around Halloween if you participated then. Partners will have Valentine items on display in front of their offices, and a sheet with addresses and clues to take you to those offices and actually help you find the item will be emailed out and actually available for pickup prior to February 1st. Each office will have the flyers so you can pick them up there. These sheets can be turned in so that you are eligible for prizes at the Silver and Gold drive-through luncheon, which we're going to hold on Friday, February the 12th at Meyerhofer Funeral Home and Crematory. Details on both of these events will go out, like I said, prior to the events. I will tell you, weather may play into these actual days that we have planned, so it may be that we have to push them out a little bit, but we'll keep you in the know and definitely stay in touch. Please give us your feedback on the Facebook Live event. It helps us to know if we should continue this or not. We hope that some are tuning in, and if not, I hope that you get a chance to view it after the fact. And now, I'm going to bring Mr. Hay back to the stage. Bobby, I think I lost a page, but I had a really good introduction.
Well, go ahead.
I don't have it. Come on up, Bobby.
So, what she was trying to tell you, she was going to tell you about my educational background, that I do have a BS.
That's right.
But, oh, forget it. You guys make up your own conclusions. You know, I was really shocked today when Jane says, hey, we can't find no entertainment, so guess what? I think it's going to have to be you. And I said, well, how could I possibly entertain people? I don't get it, you know, and stuff like that. So I got to thinking about it, and I said, you know what? On this historical day, no, I'm not going to talk about politics at all. I'm actually going to blow your mind today, because next time that we get together or we see you, guess what? It's going to be Valentine's Day. So today, let's talk about love, Cupid, hearts, cards, and flowers are everywhere. Yep, it's almost Valentine's Day. On February 14th, Americans will celebrate love and friendship. But where did this holiday of affection come from? Did anybody ever wonder? Well, the origins of Valentine's Day, they are pretty murky. And a couple of things that I have found out, that theory is on Valentine's Day, it coincides with the anniversary of St. Valentine's death or burial. However, experts believe that the association began as the beginning of birds' mating season. Strange, but true. That is where the romance started. Isn't that amazing?
It is.
Yes. Has anybody ever heard of the old saying, you two lovebirds? See, I got you. Valentine's Day, or also known as St. Valentine's Day, was originally the feast of St. Valentine. Valentine's Day is celebrated annually on February 14th. It originated as a Western Christian feast day honoring a Christian martyr named St. Valentine, and is recognized as a significant culture, religious, and commercial celebration of romance and love in many regions of the world. St. Valentine, in case you didn't know, was a priest of Rome who was imprisoned for giving assistance to persecuted Christians. He was martyred in 269 AD, who sacrificed life for the sake of freedom. Now, wasn't that something? Jane has got this really weird look on her face, you know. According to early tradition, St. Valentine restored the sight to a blind girl, and later he wrote that girl a letter and signed it, Your Valentine. Are you getting to where I'm going, guys? Okay. So according to the legend, in order to remind men of their vows and God's love, St. Valentine is said to have cut hearts out of parchment paper, giving them to soldiers, which has become the possible origin of the widespread use of hearts on Valentine's Day. Isn't that just wonderful information? Yes, it is. Thank you, Bob. Now, here we go. It's going to start getting fun. In 1868, the British chocolate company Cadbury created fancy boxes in the shape of a heart for Valentine's Day. Boxes of filled chocolate quickly became associated with Valentine's Day. The U.S. Greeting Card Association estimates that 190 million are sent each year in the United States. When Valentine exchange cards made in school activities are included, the figure rose up to over 1 billion. And the teachers becoming the people who receive the most Valentine's cards. The average Valentine spending has increased every year. spending on average of $100 to $130 a piece. I fell just under that average of about $5, including the card, flour, and the candy. My wife still loves me. Can you believe it? It's the thought that counts, right, honey? Thank you. Now let's talk a little bit about that little dude, Cupid. Cupid, watch out for those arrows now. Josh, talking to you. All right. In classical mythology, Cupid, which is Latin, means passionate desire and is the god of desire, love, attraction, and affection. He is the son of the love goddess Venus and the god of war, Mars. He is seen as a baby because babies represent the combination of two people in love. Now, did you know that, Jane?
I did not.
Now, the most amazing thing has happened. You know how Jane's sense of humor is with her jokes. Well, get ready, because here comes the best ones. This is the day, the time you've been waiting for. What did one sheep say to the other sheep? I love you. Get it? You? All right, forget it.
That was bad.
And how did the other sheep respond?
That was bad.
You're not so bad yourself. See, Jane's getting it. Thank you, Jane. You're great. Why do skunks love Valentine's Day? This is good stuff. Because they are very sentimental creatures. Get it, Josh? Okay, forget it. You got to excuse Josh. Sometimes he's with me, sometimes. What's the best part of Valentine's Day? Everybody knows that. It's the day after. Because that's when all the candy goes on sale. See? And to blow you away for my conclusion of my jokes, have you two got a date for Valentine's Day?
Me and Josh?
Yes. Well, of course. You know I do. It's February 14th. Get it? Date? February 14th. Okay, forget it. You guys just thank you, Josh. I appreciate that. So there you have it, the truth about St. Valentine's Day. So next time you think of Cupid, it will probably just remind you of me, Mr. Wonderful. And of course, all of you out there have a happy Valentine's Day. There you go, Jane.
There you go, Bobby.
I hope that was enough entertainment for you.
That was very interesting.
right.
It was great.
I told you.
The jokes were straight on, too. Thank you, Bobby.
Well, you're welcome.
You're definitely a Valentine and a half and a silver and gold favorite. We're glad you're here. Now we've got some thank yous to hand out before we depart. Thank you to Performance Plus Rehabilitation Center for being our presenting partner today. Dr. Aaron Jones had some great information on the new normal and how to get back to that. Also from Performance Plus, we were glad to have Ryan Steen with us today. He really worked us out today.
He did.
Bobby?
That was awesome.
Okay, Bobby's with us every month, but today we gave you the microphone for a little bit longer. Thank you for sharing your sense of humor. We can count on you to keep smiles on our faces, unless, of course, we're rolling our eyes.
Which you did most of the time, but that's okay. That's okay. Today's Facebook Live event could not have happened without the help of the creative team at Freudenthal Home-Based Healthcare. Big round of applause for Mr. Young. He's the best. He's the best. Thank you for making today's live stream not only happen, but I think you tried to make us as good as we can.
Yes, that's a big job. You're good at it, Josh. Thank you to everyone that was able to join us for today's luncheon, which hopefully you had a bite to eat while you were enjoying us. We know how much you miss silver and gold, so do we. We're going to work hard to keep you engaged and in a silver and gold frame of mind until we can get together again.
So make your friends keep the old.
One is silver, and the other is gold. Thank you for being with us today. Take care. We look forward to seeing you soon.
See you next time, and don't forget, happy Valentine's Day. Woo!